Today, even when it's signed, you still can't get the funds. You know? So, it's different today. Integrity should impact our daily Christian walk when fully implemented in our lives, as we will see in Daniel's life. We talk about moral integrity, spiritual integrity. In our world of construction, we also have structural integrity. Structural integrity and failure is an aspect of engineering which deals with the ability of a structure to support its designed load, weight, or force without breaking, tearing apart, or collapsing, and includes the study of breakage that has previously occurred in order to prevent failures in future designs. We learn from our mistakes in our past. As we said in ethics, integrity is regarded as honesty, truthfulness, or accuracy in one's action. We don't have to go too far to hear this word being bandied about negatively today. We can think of CEOs of big corporations, and if I just mention the Senate scandal, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Okay? That's all to do with integrity. There's a story I read about a businessman who was getting old, and so he wanted to step down, and so in stepping down, he wanted to choose the next successor to his business. And so in doing this, he didn't want to choose his children or the directors of his company, but he wanted to choose them from the young executives of the corporation. So he called all of them together, and when they came together, he said, I'm going to choose the new boss, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you a seed today. It's one very special seed, he said. And I want you to go home, I want you to plant it, water it, and come back a year from today, and let me see what has grown from the seed I've given to you. I will judge then your plant, and then I will choose the CEO. So they all went home with the seed, and they planted it. And there was one guy, Jim. He went home, told his wife about what was happening. Wow, can you believe it? The CEO said he is going to choose one of us to be the next CEO. And he's given us a seed. And so enthusiastically, they potted that seed, put compost in there and everything, and watered it, took care of it every day. 3 weeks went by, nothing came up. And so as the other execs at work were talking about it, and they're saying, hey, my plant is growing, and oh yeah, and it's doing very well. And 4 weeks later, there's nothing happening. And 5 weeks later, there's nothing happening. 3 months later, nothing happening for him. He quit talking about it at work because he was feeling embarrassed, because everybody could talk about their nice plant growing, and he had nothing coming. So it continued for a while, 6 months, still nothing. And then finally it was time, a year now. And the executive told everybody, I want you to come on back and bring that plant, that seed back. And so everybody came back to work, and they brought their plants, and some had lovely shrubs and different plants, and everything was just growing. And poor Jim, he stood to the back because he had nothing in his pot. As a matter of fact, before he came that morning, he said to his wife, should I really bring the empty pot? I'm going to look like a failure to this guy, I don't really want. She said, no, you be honest. You take it back. It just didn't grow, okay? So he took it in, and the president came through, and he looked at everybody's plant. Wow, this is beautiful. This is great. Wow, you've done your job. Okay, good. Then he looked at the back where Jim was hiding, and he spied Jim with his pot. And he said, Jim, bring your pot to the front. And he took the pot to the front, and he said, wow, so what happened here? And he thought it was a total failure, and he figured he's going to be fired. And the manager, the president said, guys, I gave you a seed, but that seed was boiled, so you couldn't have any plants from it. So everybody went home. When it didn't grow, they put a different seed in there, and this is why everybody had a different plant. He said this guy brought the seed back because he was the honest one. He's now the CEO. Integrity. Integrity. Will get us every time. It's in chapter 6 and verse 3, it says, then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and the princes or satraps, because an excellent spirit, a spirit of integrity, was in him. And the king gave thought to set him over the whole realm of his kingdom, because of what Daniel was. Daniel could be described as a man of strong conviction, solid commitment, faith. He was dependable. He was a man of honor and integrity. Can you identify with any of the words? Sure, I hope we can. Okay, because we should. If I give you a little background, as my wife had done some of it, Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had invaded Judah and took some of the Israelites. And some came from the royal family and some from nobility. And he took some of the sacred vessels as well and articles from the temple and went and put it in his temple to his God, which was a no-no. Daniel was brought to Babylon not of his own volition, but was captured along with some of the best of Judah's son, okay, the Israelite son. Among them were also 3 of his friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Daniel, it's believed, was about 60. Then the king instructed his chief of staff that to bring the best of these guys who he captured, okay? Bring them in, and it said in verse 4, youth without blemish. That means no physical defect were to be found in them. Well-favored, handsome, okay, in appearance, and skilled in all wisdom, discernment and understanding, apt to learning, competent to stand and serve in the king's palace, and to teach them the literature and the language of the Chaldeans. Okay? So he wanted them to assimilate into this new culture that they'd come into. And the king appointed for them a daily provision of the king's delicacy and of the wine which he drank, and 3 years of training for them. And at the end of this time, that's when the king is going to judge if they will serve. Because of Daniel's strong convictions, however, and his faithfulness to God, right from the get-go, he had a problem with this meal plan, it was just not kosher with him and his 4 friends. Not willing to compromise his Christian walk, Daniel asked for a change in the dietary requirement for all of his for his 4 friends. This was met with fierce resistance because this guy said, hey, listen, if I change the diet on you, the king has given the command, if I change the diet on you, my head could be off. However, Daniel told the chief to test him and his friends for 10 days. Just give us a trial period, 10 days, and compare us at the end of the 10 days and see if we're in line with the other guys, okay? And yep, this was done because Daniel found favor in the sight of God, and this was done. Because you see, Daniel knew his God, that he could be trusted, that God could be depended on. He could count on God. God was someone he had put his trust in, and Daniel's faith was unshakable. At the end of the rigorous 3-year training course, the king interviewed them and found them, Daniel and his 3 friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, to be 10 times better than all the other ones that were trained at the same time. That was the favor of God. Daniel was not influenced by the culture around him. He took a stance. Daniel was known for his commitment, wisdom, and faithfulness. Folks, because everybody is doing it doesn't mean it's right. We don't all have to follow. We can take the high road. We too can be a catalyst for change. Daniel went on to interpret dreams, as my wife had said before, visions, and even the handwriting that was on the wall, much to the demise of that particular king. So doubtlessly, he was known, he had made an